School Prep Room, saving you both time and money.
Hello and welcome to School Prep Room's latest video. Today we're going to be looking at how to view bookings in our system. We're actually going to split this tutorial over 3 videos because this is arguably the most complex part of the site. It's really the hub where the technicians get to manage both time and space around the prep room, how things are moving around, how practicals are prepared and delivered. So in this first video, we're simply going to look at the information that the page presents, how to access it, and how to understand what you're seeing. So the first thing to notice is that across the top of the page we have these days of the week, plus a full week button, which flash on and off as we put our cursor over them. On the left we have this week and next week, and this is how we access bookings for any particular week. So if I wanted to view bookings for this week, I would click on full week here, for the next week on the green one. Of course, I may want to look further ahead. You'll have noticed that from our current diary, this week and next week are holidays, so we're not going to have any bookings for then. So we need to be actually looking 2 weeks into the future. And in order to do that, I can click on more weeks, and that will take me forward a couple of weeks, so I can now see 2 weeks ahead and 3 weeks ahead. And I could do that up to 11 weeks ahead. If I want to go back to where I was, then I just click on back week. So if we have a look at the bookings for the full week in 2 weeks time, I'm just going to click on that, and we're then presented with a page that looks like this. The first thing you'll notice is that the left hand menu items have been removed here, and the reason for this is that then gives us a page that is printable onto a sheet of A4. One of the key things we wanted to get into this system was something that gave it some robustness if the system, or perhaps more likely the schools network, was down. So in order to be able to print the information out, we needed to generate sufficient space on a single sheet. And I'll explain how to print that out in a moment. So we have our days of the week still across the top, and then we can see we're currently viewing week commencing 14th of October, and we can see that the bookings are currently open. We have a button that allows us to close bookings, and clicking on that will close the bookings for us, so now we can see that the bookings are closed, and we can then open the bookings quite easily again there too. Closing and opening bookings basically sets the system to notify the user who's trying to make a booking whether it's possible to take a booking or not. We have quite a range of options in how you want to do that. We have soft and hard closures, which means that you either send a message saying bookings are closed, please talk to the technician, but the booking will still be accepted by the system, or a hard closure where you simply cannot book. It will not accept it. You also have options of whether you want to close at a particular time on a particular day of the week, whether you want to do it manually as I've just done here when you think it's the right time, or whether you want to do it on a rolling time scheme, so say bookings have to be made 48 hours before you want the practical. In order to find out how to manage those and what the options are, then please do watch our video on closing bookings and setting up that part of your system. The next button we have is the print button. This is the magic button that allows us to print the information out onto sheets of A4. And if I click on that, you will see how that layout works. So in this case we've selected a full week, and I've done that for a reason, because as you will see, each day has its own page. So we'll get a page which shows the menus for the site, and then each day will have a single page which has the bookings on it. And provided your bookings fit sensibly into that space, which in our experience generally they do, you can print out the entire bookings for the week on 5 sheets of A4. If you've selected the option where you can see the detail on this page, you will then not only have the title of the experiment, but all the equipment required and any other information, for example, notes and such like. And we can print the entire week's bookings simply by selecting print, and they will just be printed off on the printer. Now at the minute I'm using Chrome to do this, and in Chrome it will automatically lay the pages out in landscape orientation. If you're using other browsers, you should check whether your page orientation is landscape or not before you print. So you may have to make some adjustments to your printer settings to do that. The next part shows the information about the users. So at the minute we can see that 3 users have already booked for this week. This can be useful if you think someone is wanting to book something and they haven't put it into the system yet. You can chase them up if you want to do that. You can also see who's already made bookings for this particular week. And this is presented as the SIMs or the ID codes for each person. If you're unsure who those codes relate to, you can hover the mouse over and you'll get the person's full name as it's been entered to the system. And so you can see who has or hasn't booked. Underneath this, we can see the bookings for any particular week. So here we have the bookings for Monday in 2 weeks' time. And each booking has a red bar across the top, which I'll talk about in a moment. The title of the booking. In this case, we've got all the details of the equipment that's required. We can see we also have the ID code for the person who booked it. And on this booking down here, you can also see we have a little label saying file. This means that this booking has a file attached to it. And we can view that simply by clicking on it. It will open in a new page. And if we wanted to print that, we could print that off as well, or we could view it. It might contain, for example, more complex details on how to put a practical together. But it can contain any information you particularly want. The other thing you will notice from this is that when I put the mouse over a booking, it turns red. And this allows us to see at a glance whether someone has booked the same experiment more than once, or if a number of people have booked the same experiment. So in this case, looking at Boiling Point's experiment has been booked for period 1, but by putting the mouse over, I can see that down here we also have the same experiment's been booked. So if I'm putting it together for period 1, I might want to leave it around in the prep room for later on that day, or if it was booked for period 2, I could just move it between the 2 rooms. And this gives us an easy way to track what's happening. Not only that, if this was a particularly involved practical, I might want to see if it's been booked for any other time during the week. I can do that by clicking on it. It will then remain red. And I can scroll down through the week and see, yes, somebody's also booked it for Tuesday that week too. To take that off, I just need to click on the practical and it will turn off from being red and all the practicals will look the same as they did. Now, if there's more than one technician working at a time, it can be quite useful to be able to keep a track of who is getting things ready. And this is what the red bars are for at the top. So as I'm getting a practical ready, so for example, say I'm doing the Looking at Boiling Points practical, I can click on that and that will go to orange. The other technician will now know that I'm preparing that practical, and they may think, well, I'll get the acid-base reactions ready, and they can click on that one. Even if we were working on independent computers, those changes would show. So we could be working on 2 different devices and be able to see those changes. Once I've got a practical ready, I can click on it again, and it will go to green, and so on. So I now know I finished that practical. I shouldn't get the acid and base reactions ready because my other technician is doing that at the moment, so I might work on the alkali metals demo. One final thing I just want to talk about here is another option you have with viewing your bookings. So I know a lot of technicians prefer to have more detail than can fit in these small boxes when they're recording a booking. And you have an option to record a small set of information in the boxes such as this, or you can set the system to just record the titles of the practicals that have been booked. That's what we're seeing here. There is then a way to get that detailed information, which I'm going to talk about in the next tutorial. And in order to switch between these two systems, seeing titles or seeing the detailed information, you simply need to make a small change in the settings menu. There is a video about that, so if you want to see how to do that, please do watch that video. So I hope you found that useful today. If you have any questions, as ever, please do contact us. If you have any suggestions on how we can improve on this, then do let us know. We always like to be pushing forward and improving what we do. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope it's made it a bit clearer to you how the system works. Thank you very much.